Figure it out.
Hello, this is Adam Koralik from Figured Out Productions. The following video is a video of some kind, and I hope you enjoy it.
Hey guys, it's Adam here. Today we're going to be talking about, believe it or not, the Nintendo DS. Yes, I'm really doing a video on the DS. Specifically, this little flash card called the R4 for the Nintendo DS that effectively allows you to place a micro SD card in it, thus allowing you to play ROMs and games you've perhaps got off the high seas of the internet for the Nintendo DS. We're going to talk all about it. Before we do that though, if you guys could do me a favor, please like this video, comment down below, subscribe if you've never done that before, as well as check out all the social media stuff in the description. I've got Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Discord, Patreon, Spreadshirt, my travel channel. I appreciate the support on those platforms. Thank you so much. Now let's get on with it. So, a little backstory here before we go into the details of this, and if you don't care about that, there's time code there. You can go ahead and skip past my little story. But basically what happens here is that a few years ago, I was a guest at a convention, and I met up with another YouTuber there who I'm sure a lot of you guys know. His name is Mr. Mario. Mr. Mario is a very cool guy. He does a lot of videos on modding consoles and repairing consoles and all sorts of stuff. And a few years ago, he had sent me an Xbox 360, and it was a hacked up one, and it took me a few years to get around to making a video about it. I did the video about it eventually. In this case, when I met up with him at the convention, he just kind of handed this thing to me, the R4, and he's like, yeah, it's like a Nintendo DS flash card. If you ever want to talk about it, that's your call. You will do whatever you want. And honestly, I was like, oh yeah, cool. And I put it to the side, and I was like, other things happen in life, and then I just never got around to it. So here we are, we're finally getting around to it. So in true Adam and Mr. Mario fashion, when he's cool enough to give me something, I appreciate it a lot, and then eventually I get around to it a few years later. So shout out to him. But yeah, so what is this thing? Basically, it's just a flash card that effectively allows you to play Nintendo DS ROMs on various iterations of the Nintendo DS line of hardware. Now, the device itself is not high-end. I'm sure a lot of you guys are very familiar with the concept of a flash card. This is nothing new. We've been seeing this for years. There's cheap ones and there's high-end ones, like the EverDrive line, which is the high-end stuff that's made by Crix, where, they have a lot of firmware updates, everything's very customized, and they make sure that compatibility is this wide range, and, there's some additional bonus features here and there, but really it's about perfection. This is a cheap Chinese mass-produced thing that really kind of just does the basics. And that's really all it's meant to be. I mean, this is something you can get on Amazon for like 30 bucks. This is not anything that special. Now, if you look at mine specifically, my R4 has the 2021 sticker on it, and it says Smart Update at the bottom. Now, here's the thing. There's a ton of these cards out there that have slight differences as far as the calendar year up there, and sometimes the word Smart Update is there, and sometimes it's not. For the most part, all these cards are essentially exactly the same, and they don't require a whole lot of setup. Basically, all you need is a micro SD card. In this case, I just have an 8GB card on here. I believe this particular packaging claims that it supports 32 gigs. You might be able to even get it to go higher. I honestly didn't test that. The entire DS library, I want to say, is like 250 gigs, but I could definitely be wrong about that. Once you have the card, all you have to do is format it to FAT32, and then from there it boils down to your personal method of organization. Now, here's where things can deviate. If you want to just create a folder that says like Nintendo DS games, and then just throw Nintendo DS ROMs in there, which, by the way, once again, you'll have to get those on your own. Probably setting sail on the high seas of the internet to acquire them, but if you do that, you can throw them in the folder of your choice. From there, once you're booting them and playing them and everything, the DS will save game data in there, so if you make progress in your games, etc. If you want more organization, that's an option. You can set it up however you like. So there are pre-existing packs out there that people have gone ahead and made that consist of a series of different folders, and where that gets kind of interesting is there are actually emulators built specifically for the Nintendo DS that allow it to run, say, Super Nintendo games, or Game Boy Advance games, Sega Genesis games, and so on and so forth. I'm going to put a link to another YouTuber's video. He actually did a very good breakdown of this, and he even hosts some of these pre-assembled files so you can gather them yourself. So full credit to that guy. I'll put a link in the description to his channel. Here's a shout out to him and everything. So by all means, check it out, support him. But yeah, so I didn't make these little packs or anything like that. I just had the card for years and never got around to using it. But anyway, so the card, once you have it all set up, people will, of course, ask, like, what else? You said it plays Game Boy Advance and stuff? Yes, like I said, you guys know the Nintendo DS, at least the original model, had the Game Boy Advance cartridge slot in there. However, the thing is, that's not what it's utilizing to play them. It's effectively just using emulation. So people wrote a specific Game Boy Advance emulator for the Nintendo DS, and then you're trying to run games through it. In my experience, having played this for a little while, the emulator stuff is pretty buggy. A lot of the compatibility isn't really there, and when stuff does run, it's hit or miss. Sometimes it works perfectly, sometimes it's the audio is really bad, or it's got visualization issues, and we're talking all the way down to like Super Nintendo stuff and etc. So I would really think of this card being specifically to allow you to play Nintendo DS games, and anything else is just a bonus. Now, when you look at the packaging, you might also get a little thrown off because it very specifically says 3DS on it. And you see I've got 3DS XL, I've got a 2DS. You might be thinking, oh cool, I can put 3DS ROMs on there and play 3DS games. No. All it means by that is that the standard DS games will work on a 2DS or a 3DSL, 3DS, etc. And really, that's the focus. Now, I didn't exactly sit there and test every single Nintendo DS game ever released, so I can't promise 100% compatibility, but I would guess, given that what it is just kind of a mass-produced, cheap, flash card, there's going to be games that don't work. I just don't know of any offhand to cite as examples, but basically, for the most part, if you want a cheap way to kind of check out a bunch of DS games on original hardware, this isn't that bad. So I've got 4 models of the Nintendo DS sitting here. I've got the original launch model. It works fine on that. The Nintendo DSi, which shout out to a buddy of mine named Sunshine. He was the one who actually gave me this. He just repaired it and hooked me up with it. I've got the 2DS, of course, and the 3DS XL. And it works on all of them in the exact same way. The device itself comes in this little generic packaging, which has got a lot of English all over it. It says R4 SDHC 3DS DSi, has a website, dual core smart update. And then on the side it says, caution, I'm hot. On the back, just like iTunes for iPhone, game, music, movie, free and easy download management. Then it supports all the latest games, multi-language support, 32 gigabyte micro SD. You get it. It's English. And then it also comes with this little USB dongle, which at first I didn't know what this was, but it turns out what it is just a micro SD to USB adapter, just allowing you to have the device communicate with your PC. So that's really all you're going to want to do. Some of these will come with a micro SD card already. Some will not. You'll have to figure that out for yourself. But really, it's a basic setup. Like once you have a card, throw it in your PC. I'm assuming you're using some iteration of Windows. Format the card to FAT32, and then create the folder structure of your choice. Again, I will link to another YouTuber who did a very nice breakdown of like all the files that he recommends, and that does make life a little bit more convenient. But again, full credit to him on that. So yeah, from there, all you do is take the card and then boot it up. So let's do a quick, we'll use the DSi specifically. So mine's all set up, so you just plop it in like you would any sort of Nintendo DS cartridge, and then turn on the system, and then you see, of course, that, health and safety warning, blah, blah, blah. Now, the first thing you'll actually see is it refers to the cartridge as Deep Labyrinth by Atlas USA Incorporated. I don't know if there was a game, I don't know if Deep Labyrinth was a game that got exploited. I don't really know how this works. It doesn't really matter. Point is, you boot into that cartridge, and once you're in there, if you have the folder structure that you've set up, whatever, you'll see a whole bunch of different folders. Now, if you're using the emulator stuff, which is, again, very much a bonus, you would open up one of those folders, and inside you might even see some Game Boy Advance games or whatever that you personally put in there. You'll notice if you try to boot them, they don't do anything. So you have to actually boot the emulator first, and then within the emulator, you go and find those ROMs and try them. I cannot stress this enough. Think of all the emulation stuff as just a bonus. If it works, great. If it doesn't, oh well. What you're going to want to focus on is, of course, Nintendo DS. Although I admit, NES games seem to work just fine, but then again, that's the NES. So we open up the Nintendo DS folder. We got a couple of games in there. So if you just go in there, I will put on GTA Chinatown Wars. Shout out to the fact that GTA 6 just got its trailer and all that. So you can actually see that the games boot up just fine from that point. And then you're off on your way, and you're playing just like normal. Yeah, so I just thought this would be kind of an interesting little video. I'm sure a lot of you guys know about the R4 and stuff like that. This is nothing new. This has been out for years. But if you didn't know and you were curious and you wanted to get into the DS for the first time, this is a good way to kind of approach it and check out like which games you might like, which ones you don't. And if you end up liking stuff, you go out and buy the real things. So yeah, that'll do it for me. Huge shout out to my buddy Sunshine for that DS. Shout out to Mr. Mario for hooking me up with this in the first place. And then to the other YouTuber who made that video, shout out to you as well, dude. So again, links in all the description to all these people. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys could do me a favor, please like the video, comment down below, subscribe if you've never done that before, as well as check out all my social media stuff in the description: Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Discord, Patreon, Spreadshirt, and the travel channel. Appreciate the support on all those platforms. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all later.